Welcome to a podcast. Total Survey Design.
Hello everyone. Welcome back to the Total Survey Design podcast. My name is Hanyap Lee.
And I'm Azdran Soma.
In this episode, we focus on the response options to survey questions. While response options are usually developed alongside the base question, we wanted to dedicate an episode solely to response options because there are many important principles to consider. Response options are critical for the quality of survey data. They play a key role in how respondents interpret and answer questions. Well-designed response options can significantly improve respondent understanding and the accuracy of the data collected. Poorly designed options, on the other hand, can lead to confusion and unreliable data. It is essential to give them careful thought and attention. Response options generally fall into two categories: closed-ended and open-ended. Closed-ended responses include options like multiple choice and rating scales, where respondents select from predefined answers. On the other hand, open-ended responses allow respondents to provide their own answers in their own words. Closed-ended questions are great for quantitative data and easy analysis, while open-ended questions can provide richer, more detailed qualitative insights. The choice between them depends on your survey's goals and the nature of the information you're seeking. In this episode, we will focus mainly on closed-ended questions.
When it comes to designing survey questions, one of the fundamental aspects to consider is the scale of your response options. Let's break down what that means and how you can ensure you're getting the most useful data possible from your respondents. First, you'll need to decide if your question should use a categorical or continuous scale. Categorical scales are used for questions where the responses are distinct categories. For instance, if you're asking about a respondent's favorite type of cuisine, you might list options like Italian, Chinese, Mexican, and so on. Each category is separate and doesn't imply any order or ranking. On the other hand, continuous scales are used when you want to capture a range of values, like age or income. These scales allow for a spectrum of responses, providing more detailed information. Speaking of detail, that brings us to our next point: ensuring your options are realistic. This means providing choices that respondents can easily relate to and select. For example, if you're asking about annual income, it's important to offer income brackets that reflect the population you're surveying. Too narrow or unrealistic options can frustrate respondents or lead to inaccurate data. Next, let's talk about resolution. When we say resolution in this context, we're referring to the level of detail in your response options. For example, if you're asking about age, you might wonder if you have a high enough resolution. Are you offering only 3 age categories? For example, 18 to 29, 30 to 49, and 50 plus? This might not be detailed enough for your needs. More specific age ranges could provide better insights, like breaking it down into smaller increments such as 18 to 24, 25 to 34, and so on. However, there's a flip side to this. You can also have too high a resolution. Sometimes offering too much detail, especially in the sensitive topics, can overwhelm respondents or make them uncomfortable. This can lead to higher dropout rates or people skipping questions entirely. For instance, asking for precise income down to the dollar might feel too intrusive, whereas broader brackets might encourage more honest and complete responses. So, when designing your survey questions, aim for a balance. It's all about finding that sweet spot where you're capturing the necessary information while keeping your survey user-friendly and considerate of your audience's comfort.
One of the most important principles to keep in mind when you have categorical options is that the options need to be exhaustive and exclusive. Exhaustive simply means that every possible response option exists. So for age, you shouldn't have categories that only go up to 80 years old because you know that there might be respondents who are older than 80. For gender, there are people that fall outside of the man-woman binary, so you want to at least give the option of other. Exclusivity, on the other hand, means that a respondent shouldn't be confused as to which response options they should select. Let's talk about age as an example, and let's say you are 25 years old. But if the response categories are 18 to 25 and 25 to 32, you wouldn't know if you should select the first or the second category.
The order in which you present the response options can introduce bias. To minimize this bias, it is often best to randomize the order of options, especially in online surveys. This helps prevent any systematic bias that might arise from the respondents consistently choosing options at the beginning or end of a list. However, in some cases, a fixed order might be necessary. If so, ensure the order is logical and consider varying the order in different versions of the survey to check for order effects.
Rating scales, such as Likert scales, are commonly used to measure attitudes or perceptions. An effective rating scale should be consistent in direction, usually from negative to positive or vice versa. This helps respondents understand the scale intuitively and reduces errors. From a design perspective, the visual presentation of response options can greatly impact readability and comprehension. Use clear spacing and alignment to make the options easy to scan. Avoid clutter and ensure that the options are clearly separated from each other. Consistent formatting throughout the survey helps respondents know what to expect and reduces cognitive load.
Related is the concept of priming, or asking a question about something that was asked about. There are two potential issues that come from priming. One is recency bias, or how people's response might hinge upon what they have seen, heard, or experienced most recently. For example, if a survey asks respondents, "Which of the following activities do you enjoy most during your leisure time?" Please select one. Then lists as response options reading, watching TV, and listening to music. Respondents may be more likely to select listening to music because it was the last option they read. One way to fight recency bias is to rotate or shuffle option responses in questions like these.
The opposite of recency bias would be the primacy effect, which is the tendency of respondents to select the first few options presented to them, as these are more likely to be remembered and perceived as more important or relevant. For example, in a question that asks, "Which of the following news sources do you trust the most?" Please select one. And the options are listed as CNN, BBC, Reuters, and Bloomberg. In this list, respondents might be more likely to choose CNN or BBC because they are on the first options they see, thereby demonstrating the primacy effect. In this list, respondents might be more likely to choose CNN or BBC because they are the first options they see, therefore demonstrating the primacy effect. Like with recency effect, questions with the potential of the primacy effect need to have response options that are rotated or shuffled in the survey.
When creating open-ended responses, the size of the text box you provide should match the length of the responses you're expecting. If you want detailed feedback, offer a larger text box. For brief inputs like name or number, a smaller box will do. Offering a large box when you're expecting just a 2-digit number will confuse respondents and make them doubt if they are understanding the survey questions properly. Finally, watch out for unbalanced scales. An example of an unbalanced scale is strongly agree, agree, somewhat agree, neither agree nor disagree, and strongly disagree. This can skew your data because people naturally look at options and arrange them on a balanced scale. These are just a few of the principles and guidelines that we use to design survey question response options.
Don't forget to subscribe.